So I'm glad to see you all. And we're at this very important full moon, 6 months at the halfway point, the midpoint of from the Wesak, which is the high point of the year. By full moon, we're at the low point in a sense. So the high and the low. And or you could say the intention and the manifestation, right? The energetic intention as it lands on in real life, that's where we are now. And so all these energies that are about, as you're feeling, tomorrow being the election, how important is that? And the whole world is watching, right? And so this tension building that has been happening is so important, and to work with that energy to help mitigate that energy and to clear it, make it, help it land better so that it's a more gentle landing, whatever happens. And not just that is happening, right? There's much more going on than even, our little midterms. But of course, they're very significant at this time for lots of reasons. So here we are at this full moon, which is exact at 3:02 a.m. tonight on the West Coast, so Pacific time. So you'll be able to see it. It's a complete, total lunar eclipse. So it lasts an hour and a half or so as you watch it coming in and out, or even a couple hours, I think. And it's in Taurus. So it's that Taurian energy, right? That it's slow, it's direct, it's moving forward. Like you can't get out of its way like a steamroller, right? It's rolling. This energy's rolling. So how are you doing with all of that is always a good question to check in with yourself to see, what's been coming up for you, what is coming up for healing, because it's a super intense time and everybody has something coming up for healing. And like we always say, I do the Sabian symbol sometimes, or I'll show the chart, which I will, because in fact, this is a good time to do it. Let me share that. It's a doozy. Right, there it is. So you can see without even knowing anything about it that this is a very, very big deal energy. Giant T-square, practically only a T-square. Venus, the Sun, Mercury, the South nodes involved, opposing Uranus. Uranus opposing the Sun, 16 to 16, exact. Uranus conjunct Moon, Moon conjunct North Node. This, and then all in a T-square, very tight to Saturn. So this is just so intense. So if you have planets at, 13 to 19, 20 of Taurus or Scorpio or Aquarius, you are really feeling this more than anybody. You just can't get around this energy. So what it means is, and I could, just talk for hours about that chart, but what it means is that you can't, how I always teach this idea, you can't skip steps spiritually. You can't skip steps. You have to take your next step. And this is one of those kind of global moments when the whole world can't skip this step. We all have to take it. We're all taking it together. And whatever's coming up, whatever is you're feeling and noticing, is real, and it's life-changing probably on some level for you. It could be in your relationships, it could be in your monies, it could be in work, it could be personally inner work, deep, breaking open understandings of things. It's kind of radical. It's not an easy time right now. It really, really isn't. And so, to me, knowing that makes it easier a little bit, because at least you're sort of prepared for it and you don't feel like there's something wrong with you. Why is my life falling apart? Because it can feel like that, like everything's being tested, and if it's not stable, it sort of breaks apart, right? So whatever needs to go, so that the new can come in. And so we're at this powerful time where, it affects us so personally. This is very personal. These aspects are personal, it's personal, and yet it's also universal because the whole world is going through it together. And nobody's coming out not touched. Nobody's not feeling this because it's been for 2 years, And now it's an eclipse on top of it, which means it doesn't finish for 6 months, where it just plays out whatever it is. You're going to have to keep working with the material and raising the vibration of it, and for the opportunity to change, right, to heal, to grow, to get out of that old suit that doesn't fit you anymore, to do the new thing, to take the risk, to take the chance, to break open your heart, to break open your creativity, to break open and find out what you're really here for, and those kinds of ideas. It's very it's potent, it's intense, and it's full of opportunity. So you get to choose how you work with this. I've been liking this deck. This is called the Soul Trees deck. And I pulled 3 cards out, actually. Here they are. So the first one I pulled out was authenticity. This is the authenticity soul. Authenticity. So what's really true? What's really true for you? And living, breathing, and understanding that truth and taking it seriously, like this does matter to me, whatever it is. That you are taking yourself seriously and you're living your truth, authenticity. And the other card I got was this one, ungrounded. The tree's roots flying in the air, right? So there's this ungroundedness perhaps about it, where you're feeling like, where's it going to land? And we're a little bit like being thrown in the air, and we're in the air part. We're not being thrown because that already happened, this whole year. Now we're in the air and we haven't landed, so we're going, across the big chasm. And then the final card is duality, which, good grief, that's so where we are, right? That's the condition of the planet, right? There's all this polarization and duality. So there's a lot to talk about tonight, that I wanted to kind of cover a few big things with the total eclipse. The other day when I was in Australia recently, and we were looking at the Night Sky app, which shows all the constellations, and you can see where all the planets are. And I love to look at that and see, where the moon, what sign is the moon in, and all of that. And it's called Night Sky. It's a really great app. It's a free app. And when we opened it this time, there was like a million lights, like we're all perfect, like perfect dots in formation. And I went, oh, and I said, what's that? And Peter said, oh, those are the satellites that Elon Musk is putting up there so that people can connect to the internet wherever they are on the planet. And there's 2,300 of them. And they're like little lights on the Night Sky app, which was very eerie to me. But anyway, and they're putting up many, many more. I think there's going to be 5,000 in the end, thousands of them. And so along with the beautiful planets, you see the constellations, there's this grid of satellites. So it all feels like this time. Somebody said it to me this way, we're in a shift storm. And it is. The whole world is going, and it's coming hard. It's not coming easily. And so the more you're fluid to things, the better it will be for you. So somehow you're just trying to get fluid to these changes that are happening, and to respond creatively to it rather than, upset, not wanting it to change. So, and I gave... 2 weeks ago was the new moon when I was in Australia, and I did that kind of little spooky, mysterious, short new moon in Scorpio, and now we're the full moon in Scorpio. So that energy is moving through, and Scorpionic energy is always about transformation. So what are you trying to transform? What are you trying to change in your life? What are you trying to bring forth in your life? What are you trying to birth? What are you trying to rebirth? It could be yourself, right? It can be something coming out in your world, like a new project or something like that. But it's really important and it's really intense. So that's happening right now. So my biggest advice is to please not to forget to meditate. You know, the worse or stranger or out of control that things become, the more important it is to meditate. And that's when people don't meditate because they're upset, you know, or they've got to do too much. They've got to do all these things. They have to move. They have to, you know, get the new job, something, right? So they're busy at the time when the self needs the meditation more than ever. So what I recommend is to just write it down, like first meditate. Do it in the morning before you get up. Take a minute. You know, meditations is most powerful when in the morning or when you awaken or even in the middle of the night, you know, in that transparent time when there's not as many people awake and so the ethers are thinner, you know, you can really, also on planes, right? You're up higher, you're away from the body of humanity. You're a little bit in a thinner, rarefied air. Same at 3 a.m. But I'm not saying you need to do that. Just when you wake, what the idea of it is to meditate in the morning means you're setting the tone for the day so that no matter what happens, you've made an intention, you've organized your energy, and now you meet your day, which comes so different when you don't meditate. It's just almost at you, you know, instead of from you. So how do you put that into I really recommend that right now for these, you know, these next months. They're just going to be so intense. They have been so intense. They'll continue to be a little bit longer. You can feel it. It doesn't, you know, you can sense it yourself, what's actually happening. So it's just a time to really take care of yourself and to stay conscious and not reactive, responsive, not reactive. So Scorpio, it's solar Scorpio, but the moon's in Taurus. So those polarized energy are working together. The sun in Scorpio, the moon in Taurus. So things can feel very, important, and life-changing in a way, because something's got to kind of get let go of, and something needs to come forth from that. But first you sort of have to do the let go part, and that's always a little scary, because what if I still want it? Even when you clean out your closet, you've made these piles, and then you're going, I've done this, gone through them, and going, well, wait, I might need those, and I might need this, and it's all about letting it go, right? To really let it go. So there's something big trying to be let go of now. It might be a pattern in your life, something internal. It might not be a thing in your life, a person or a job or something like that. It might be yourself letting something go, a wrong belief, a belief that really, really doesn't serve you anymore. And hasn't probably for a decade, It's like old stuff coming up for healing. So that's the big opportunity here. The Sabian symbol is Moon 17, Taurus, which I thought is such an interesting one. A battle between the swords and the torches. So the swords are sort of that, you could say, sort of the war of life, the battle of life, versus the light, the torches that hold the light. And what that particularly asks is to be able to discern what is true and what is false, right? Within the self and out in the world. To be able to discern that and sense, what is actually happening, what somebody's actually saying in conversations with friends, right? With partners, with co-workers. It's really about deep listening and sensing, what is the highest action I can do, rather than what's my reaction to something. That someone might be agitated or hostile, you might be, but let's say they are, and to not take that personally, to work with that, to understand, to discern that what's really going on there, which you may not know, but there's probably something going on there. There's a lot going on for people right now. That's what I'm trying to say. There's just a lot, and it's Scorpio, Taurus, kind of hidden. It's not necessarily right in your face, although Taurus is out, but Scorpio is in. And so the Taurus Wesak we're in Scorpio now. This is the expression of that Wesak energy right now. So it's happening, what was set back then. So that was in May around last year, or this year, I mean. So it's just things to work with, and these cards, which I thought were really important: authenticity, ungroundedness, and duality. To work with that, maybe those senses within yourself, and how do you do that? And remembering that love is the biggest power of all, and to use love as your through line, as your way. And my saying is, love is how. Love is how. Which is not being nice. It's just love, right? It can be nice, but it isn't always nice. Love is how. Sometimes love is strong. Sometimes love is strict. Sometimes love is disciplined. Sometimes love is tender. Sometimes love is supportive. Sometimes love is ferocious, right? It depends on the situation. When you're grabbing your kid out of the street to not get hit by a car, there's not even words. You just go yank that kid off the street, and they're like, what? But it's love. It's love in action, right? So love is how. And so this is a time to really practice that, to work with those energies. This is sort of probably the hardest point right now in the last couple of years. And it's going to get less, sort of. Not less, we're at the apex, right? We're at the zenith of these troubles that we've had for the last couple of years. So we've kind of wound up to it, and now we're going to wind out of it. But this point, which is right now, that shimmering edge, is sort of, you don't know what's going to happen next, but it is sort of up and then out. But it's not like up, out. It's up and out, kind of equal, So we're going to be unwinding this for a while, fixing things that are happening everywhere, in ourself and out there, for a while, So, but this is sort of the worst time in a sense. It's not going to get much worse than this in terms of the intensity, okay? Not the manifestation, but the intensity, because it's going to keep manifesting all this stuff. So I know I'm talking a little bit abstractly today, but this feels important to say, and to really keep yourself grounded, take care of yourself, be careful in traffic, all that stuff that is obvious, to go slow, slow down. My rule is the more things speed up, the more I slow down. The more things are going like this around me, the more I get quieter and quieter and quieter, and I get more and more centered. And this can happen, but at least I'm going to be able to notice or see, and not just be overwhelmed with, the chaos that can be, And I'm not saying anything doom and gloom here. It's just the way energy goes. And energy's like this right now. And it's for a reason. And there's growth to be had across the whole planet. The whole world is watching America right now. And the Ukraine and Russia and all these situations in China, all these situations are being observed together for the first time in history. We've never been able to watch from every place on the planet a condition, a situation, some place, some remote place, or some great place. it's just an amazing time. And so that has a consequence too, because we're all going, oh, we're all watching the same movie, you know. In the old days, not that long ago, you had to, you know, ride a horse, take a boat, you know, you had to travel for 4 months to get to another country, and then maybe you're all exhausted. And by the time you got there, the news was so different than whatever you came with, you know. But now it's now. So we're all in the moment together. And we're not very well calibrated for that, because it's just 1,000 times faster than it used to be. It's unbelievable, right? Just from telephones, which there weren't telephones. That's a newer, you know, I forget the year they were invented, but it's not that long ago, 100 years to internet. You know, it's just, and from horse carriage to airplane to rocket, you know, all in 100-year span. You know, just so much change. And our little brains have to recalibrate to that. And the new ones, the new little beings that are coming in are faster, right? So that's good. So they're kind of, you know, already, you know, ready to, Wi-Fi ready. But we are still catching up and reorganizing to this very, very fast time as the whole world together is making a movement. So love is how, and love is the way, and you use love like a navigator to the life. And you just keep following love around. You just follow it around. And wherever you find yourself, that's where you're supposed to be. Right there. Right? So if you're in the middle of, you know, a big mess, that's where you're supposed to be. If you're in the middle of a calm, that's where you're supposed to be. Right? To trust that you're right where you're supposed to be right now. And that's a good way to think of this. Like acupuncture, the needle is very specific. It's right there, and that's right where to be. And then follow love around, right? So you might be the peacemaker, right? You might be able to mediate something. You might be able to bring food, you know, or grow food, right? Whatever it is, to put your hands on someone, to hug someone, to be kind to someone that's not being kind, things like that, right? And to not worry. Don't panic. You know, whatever happens, don't panic. That doesn't help. So you're kind of staying calm inside yourself with whatever the conditions are. And that's what this is all about. So I think that's a good place to go into the meditation from there. So let's prepare. If you have a candle, you can light it. I always have one, but you do not need a candle. You can look at mine, or you can light one in your mind, which is just as good. Etheric candle lighting is maybe more powerful than actually lighting one. But the physical candle is a reminder, right, of the light and of the note that you're setting and the intention that you're making. I am making a conscious intention by lighting the candle and setting out an intention for this meditation. So this holds the field, right? We talk about that, holding the field. So we're using the candle symbolically and kind of literally too to hold that space. You can do that internally or externally. And then when you're ready, just close your eyes. There's so much to say about this time, but you get it. So just as you close your eyes, just take note of where you are, how you are. Relax the physical vehicle of your body. Feel yourself start to quiet down inside and become still and silent and calm. And gently breathing into the heart center. Using the heart as a conditioner for the mind. for whatever's happening. You know, some people are loving this energy. I have to tell you, this energy is not bad. It's just energy, right? So you might be riding it fast and hard like a bucking bronco, and there's people that's their job, right? And that might be you. You might be having a ball with this energy, using it because it's very crackling, right? It's full of life. It's full of change. It's full of unknown. So, breathing through your heart to condition the mind, breathing through your heart to connect with each other in this group. And gently from the heart, just being aware of the group. All these little flower petals, right, of the lotus opening out, or each of us is a flower petal of the same flower. But then there's a flower within the flower within the flower, because there are millions of others meditating right now with this full moon with us. And just sense all the consciousness around the planet. Sense all the consciousness. There is so much consciousness right now. There's so many aware beings everywhere. Everywhere. No exception. In the Kremlin, right? In the White House. Any place you think of, there's consciousness. There are conscious souls in every place. In the jails, right? Of course, right? In the schools. At the post office. I have a conscious mailman. I love him so much. Right? There's consciousness everywhere. And consciousness just means awake, awakening, awakened. And just sense all those souls, all those beings everywhere around the planet that are here with us, that we're connected to by love, by heart. We're connected by heart. The heart is a circulatory organ, right? It circulates energy. And we're circulating energy. This beautiful heart energy. And before we go into the sort of the higher vibration of this meditation, just from here, just gently send heart energy just through your house, like where you're sitting, all around you, like you're in pink and golden light, like apricot and gold, pink and peach, and all those kinds of colors, light, the color of light. And just feeling yourself being held in this golden apricot light. And let it go past your house to your neighbors. Just let it be really fluffy and buoyant. And then send a line of light from your heart center now, straight, beautiful silver line of light right into your head center, the cave. And you take your seat here in the head center, awake and aware. That feeling of total awareness, wide openness, curious, even excited, right? Like, it's not quite the right word, but energized, right? In your awareness. And you feel the crown tingling as it's wanting to open, right? To the soul. You can almost, like, it's just can barely hold it, right? But just holding your place there in the head center for a moment. Establish yourself here. I and the soul are one. I and the soul are one. I and the soul are one. And from that peace now, from that connected peace, become aware of the soul. A living presence, an infinite living presence that is aware of you and is in meditation deep. And feel that relationship between the soul and the self. The relationship between the soul and the self. And the soul and the self become one. Recognition produces relationship. That's a law. A metaphysical law. And you begin to know your higher self as part of yourself. And that would show up in your life like intuition. Like love, nonviolence, like you don't want to hurt anything ever, because it hurts you, you know. But that's not only why, you just don't want to hurt anything ever, not for any reason. And even though we still do, you know, accidentally or on purpose, you have to forgive yourself for that. But the more conscious you are, you cannot do harm. You don't want all the marbles. You don't want all the money, all the popularity, all the whatever we're seeking, we think we want. We want to be an expression of divine love, because we are expressions of divine love. And as you align with the soul, this becomes known, this becomes truth, this becomes then action, right? And thought, and your word, everything becomes conditioned by heart, by love. Love is how. Love is how. And love is why. So in the name of love, right? And I always mean that in the capital L sense, right? It's not the emotional, personal love. It's the transcendent love, the love of all. You feel your connection with all that is, with that God force, right? That pure love. And you let yourself be recalibrated by this light, reorganized by this light, so that in this meditation right now, you could have a healing. In this meditation right now, you could have an insight that could be life-changing. In this meditation right now, you might be able to forgive yourself. Really? Forgive yourself? Or somebody? And also in this meditation that we're having right now, that this is rippling out into your timeline. So it might be tomorrow, and it might be the next day, and it can affect for days after what awarenesses you can have, especially when we're doing this live like this, when two or more are gathered, right? And we are here in this wide world web where you can gather many more than you can put in a room, right? And you can feel the interconnections almost of all these energies, of all of our energies together, creating this chalice, this holy chalice, where we can hold each other. And for right now, just letting yourself be conditioned by this higher power, right? Whatever you call these things, your name for it. Mine is love, right? Love. But it's so much bigger than that. Right? It's so much bigger than that. And let yourself be healed in your mind from fear and hopelessness, worrying, aggravation, rage, all this, right? Let it be conditioned to be used better. Because anger is just energy, too. You can use it. And you can heal with these energies when they're conditioned by love. They're not conditioned by love, they just are more violence in the world. Or more delusion, illusion, or magical thinking, right? We stand in the light of the soul and know. And as you sense into your life and where you are in it, you feel that you have what you need right now to do it. Don't need anything outside. Don't need anything more than what you already have. And just sense that that's true. And if there were anything that's needed, it'll come anyhow. So you can trust your path. You can trust your life. So we're working with our own energy right now, harmonizing it to love, harmonizing it to light. So that everything that comes through that crystal that you are reflects that light in every direction. That same note, that same tone, that same frequency is consistent and coherent. So imagine that you're a crystal now. And if you were, what kind would you be? And be inside of it, like you're inside the crystal, like you're a living crystal, like you are a crystal, like that's what you are. And feel that coherence of the self with the soul within the crystal, and how the crystal keeps getting lit from within, right? It's lit from within, the light of the soul within the crystal. And it shines out. And every facet sends it in a different direction. Above, below, north, south, east, west, right? In every direction. This coherent light of your amethyst or your quartz crystal or your aquamarine, which I have on, crystal. Whatever it is that you came to your mind, like trust that that's the right color, that's the right one, and then read about it later if you don't know. And just let that crystal become so potent. It's shimmering. It's shimmering with life, with love, with solution, with creativity, with genius. And then from that crystal, just start sending it out everywhere. Everywhere from where you are. People are all over the planet here. We've got Maui represented, England, London represented, different places, Oklahoma represented, right? All these places, wherever you are, Santa Monica, wherever you are. And just let that radiate out now. Las Vegas, right? And send it out, send it out, send it out. That color that your crystal is too, particularly that tone, and sending it out and imagining that as it's touching, wherever it's touching, and it is harmonizing like crystal-minded ones, even they may not know that they're an amethyst, but they might be, right? And so, but it awakens that amethyst within them, right? We have a crystal in the third eye, So just sending it out and out and out for all receivers that can receive it, like a radio. Let it be received. Just keep sending. Highest good, all blessings to all beings. Highest good, all blessings to all beings. All blessings to all beings. Just riding that, all blessings to all beings. Like a blessing, right? All blessings to all beings, a wish for us. All blessings to all beings, highest good. And we're in the middle of something. So just let it play out, let it play. Thank you. And remember that light inside you. That pure crystalline light of that third eye point. And then feeling this now very big crystal, right? Just let it get more to a normal, put it back into your third eye. Let it live there, remember that it's there. And just let it get very soft and still, potent and concentrated. Until the next full moon, where we do this expression out again in a different way. All blessings to all beings, all blessings to you. And when you're ready to, letting your breath get deeper and fuller until it starts to feel natural to transition out of this meditation and they're still basking in the glow of the crystal light. Let yourself get a healing from it in your skin, in your cells, and in your DNA. Right? Let it be different. I taught that last month, right? Let it be different. It is different. Things are different. And there's more different to come. Good. And thank you. I've been posting again on SoundCloud for ones of you that listen to SoundCloud, and that meditation that's called Let It Be Different is up, which I thought was a good one. And I'm starting to, once in a while, post. I had stopped for a while. But there's 800 meditations on there. So there's plenty. And they're all still useful because the way those meditations work, because I was teaching them in a class, every single meditation is a teaching and a meditation. So it's a really good way to go to school, in this very soft way. So that's on soundcloud.com. It's free. And you just follow me, DianaLang, and then it'll just show up on your phone, with whatever, hundreds of meditations you might want to listen to. And I tell people to just kind of scroll through, just kind of skim through, because there's so many, and see which one your finger lands on, You can do them that way, or you can go by title, or you can go by image, because there's something about the images about the meditation, and the title obviously is too. But they're all very interesting. So that's another resource that you can use right now, which is really helpful. And we need resources like that right now, because it's really, to be centered in yourself, everybody around you might not be. You might be the only centered person in the room, or or at the workplace, or in, you know, you might be it. So you've got to take care of that light and keep it strong by meditating every day, even if it's for 5 minutes. And I teach this in my meditation classes because people make it impossible for themselves to succeed, you know. And even if you do it for 1 minute, it makes a difference. Just so you know, it's not about time, it's about quality of that time. And you just touch that place, ding, you can feel it. You're out. You know? And then you take that note with you, you know, out into your day. So I really hope you are. I'm going to be teaching a meditation class on November 22nd, which is a Tuesday. And that'll be more technique kind of thing, I always offer different techniques in that class. So you're welcome to come to that. And the next full moon is December 7th, which might be on the 6th. I have to look on the calendar. I can't remember. Yeah, it might be an exact time. I'm not sure yet. So you can join us then. So that'll be December 7th, meditations class in November 22. And also there's all this stuff on YouTube that I have. You can subscribe to me on that and see lots of videos of old meditations, full moon meditations, snippets, clips, all different things if you're interested in learning more. So thank you for being part of this. So glad that you're here. So happy you're meditating. We need all the light we can have right now. And you want to develop that light in yourself. And no matter what's happened to you in your whole life, and you think you're the worst person in the world or the best, you know, you have light, and we're developing that light to come out. Like, let yourself have that, because it's a fact. Right? But we bury ourselves in shame, and you can't move. And you can't help either when you're in that much shame, right? So you've got to let that stuff go and just stand. Don't hide your light under a bushel. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.